and welcome to UWS Careers Cafe, run by the University of the West of Scotland Career Service and aimed at guiding you to a successful career journey. We will host a series of guests including academics, alumni, students, industry experts, and more. I'm your host, Ona Ramsay, and today we have an exciting episode lined up for you. In this episode, we explore the most sought-after employability skills today, providing valuable insights and expert advice to help you thrive in the ever-evolving job market. Whether you're a recent graduate, a seasoned professional, or someone looking to enhance your career, this discussion is packed with essential information to boost your employability and achieve your professional goals. And I'm delighted to welcome my colleague, Lindsay, who is the most experienced and knowledgeable careers advisor in the team. Hi, Lindsay, welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for inviting me along today.
It's so good to have you on board, and I'm really looking forward to learning from yourself, and I'm sure students and graduates would be too. So employability skills are the essential skills, personal qualities, and values that enable you to thrive in any workplace. So these are also called enterprise skills, communication skills, or workplace skills. So can you start by giving our listeners an overview of the employability skills that are currently in high demand today and why they have become so important?
Okay, thank you, Anna. Yeah, it's a really good question to start with, because employability skills and the job market change so rapidly. So it is always good to have an overview of the key skills that employers are looking for. Employability skills, and as Una mentioned, are very much sort of transferable skills that help you thrive in any workplace. Okay, there will be specific skills for different sectors depending on where your qualification and your career ideas take you. But there are usually the key suspects of the skills that tend to appear in the top 10 employability skills. And they can be things like communication skills, team working. It's a big part of any job we do, whether we like it or not. We do have to work with people in teams, and probably problem solving as well are usually the sort of usual suspects that appear in a list for employability skills. You can always find these skills listed in articles and reports that are published, and also in job descriptions. So you can keep up to date yourself with this. But certainly in the last couple of years, some new skills have entered the sort of top 10 of employability skills. And these are things like creativity, leadership, emotional intelligence, my favourite, curiosity and lifelong learning, that career management angle, resilience, adaptability, and quite recently as well, technology literacy are very common skills that have appeared in the last few years. But what I would like to say, and Una's probably going to agree with me, is that you can't just take our word for these employability skills. You, as future professionals, current students, you need to do your own research on this. And a quick Google search, how did we manage to cope without Google search, on employability skills will give you some interesting results. And there'll be clear examples of the top skills that we've just highlighted here. But if you start to look further down the Google search results, you'll start to find interesting articles and reports that can give you a bit more depth, a bit more background into why these skills have taken centre stage in the job market. I particularly found the World Economic Forum Future for Jobs article really interesting, and that was published recently. And there's also LinkedIn do quite a lot of data insights, and they also have an article called The Most In-Demand Skills. So again, there's ways of you to find out about these different skill sets, and then you can start to implement them in your career plans, your action plans for the future. It is quite important to be aware of employability skills. The circumstances in the working environment change rapidly, and key skills that employers employers look for from future candidates do change as a result. So the employability skills change reflect what's happening in the job market. So it's important that you are aware of these, not just throughout your studies, but when you move into the professional workplace as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay. That's really good. And as you say, things are evolving all the time. We are changing as well. Our skills, transferable skills, are changing because as we go along, as we work and study, we are gaining more skills. And I think it's important to learn to reflect and analyze what kind of skills we have. And then when we apply for jobs, go for job interviews, it's good to combine or reflect and link how
Yes.
you know this, how you can do this as well. So
Absolutely.
that leads to us to our next question. So how has the job market evolved to prioritize these particular skills, and what trends or factors have contributed to this shift?
Okay. Certainly, from my perspective, again, I'm not an expert, but there has been many factors and trends that have contributed to the shift in employability skills. So if I think back to when I left university, the skill sets some of them are similar. Problem solving, communication, teamworking are still there, but a lot of new skills have come on. And I think that just as a reflection on the ever-changing job market that we work in. For me, certainly there's been many changes in the job market, and I think probably the biggest one is technology. How we use technology in the workplace. You've got things like AI, artificial intelligence, big data, the use of algorithms in many roles now. These are examples of which help us do our jobs faster and more efficiently. And as a result of these technology changes, we've need to have to implement and adapt technology into our life and our work. And we can see that across the board, not just in our day-to-day working. We use Teams, we use Zoom now. It's very, very much commonplace. Actually, a few years ago, that probably wasn't as common as it is now. So technology has influenced the workplace, and as a result, some of the new skills that have come through, like technology literacy, have been quite prominent in many job adverts and obviously reports about employability skills. I would say also what's important as well is there's lots of things that we can't control in the workplace and in the future in job market. And these are out with our control, not for many other reasons than just that there are certain things we can control in our working environment and our careers, but there are also things that we can't control. Economic, political, environmental impacts can all influence and affect the job market and how employers work. The pandemic, as probably our most recent one, and also the cost of living crisis as well, has impacted on certain aspects of the job roles. And these external factors affect us both personally and also in the workplace. And as a result, probably of the last 2 or 3 years, I would say that we have all developed resilience. And that's certainly one of the newer employability skills that has come out. And I think it's probably a skill that we'll have around for quite a long time in the job market. And we need to be able to develop this and make sure that we can deal with things that are unknown, challenges and setbacks in a positive way. And this links obviously to adaptability, which is one of the skills I mentioned previously as well. In our job and our work, even part-time jobs, study, how we learn, and even living habits have all changed in the last few years, and they will continue to as we progress. So things like working from home, hybrid working, these are now common phrases within job adverts and with employers. And employee expectations of work-life balance have actually changed as a result of this. And so these changes have also impacted on the skill sets that we need. And we can now work for an international company from the comfort of our own kitchen. That would never have happened maybe 10 years ago. So the world is no longer inaccessible, and there are many opportunities available that were probably not possible before. And I think the technology has made an impact on that, but also our adaptability and our resilience is also something that feeds into this sort of changes in the workplace. Just on a sort of personal note, we advertise many internships for our students, our current students, and some of these have now actually been offered as virtual international internships, because employers, you can work with an international employer, but you can do it from UK and staying in Paisley or Glasgow or wherever you live. And those are new things that are coming through, and also insight days. Working with them, an employer, finding out a bit more about how they work and what they do. A lot of that has moved online now as well. So it makes opportunities a lot more accessible for students. Our jobs as careers professionals has changed, and my work habits have also changed as a result. And we can offer online careers appointments, and I can reach students from the whole of the UK and beyond. I've had quite a few interesting conversations with international students, which has never been possible before, because when we would only offer in-person appointments. So lots of opportunities for us to train and upskill to make things a lot easier for ourselves. And obviously, as I mentioned, technology is probably the biggest thing that's impacted on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, we have been working online with students as well. And if you're listening to our podcast, and if you're an alumni or graduate, we can offer our service now for 5 years. So we have been speaking to different students from different countries, as well. So please do get in touch with us and make careers appointments or attend our careers events as well. Okay, and so we've talked about the different employability skills, and so I'm quite curious to find out with the technology side, digital side. I have heard from employers that students are good with perhaps more maybe text language or social media interaction. However, sometimes they lack on skills like formal business email writing or admin skills as well. So how do you think students can perhaps develop these skills? I mean, I know there are different online courses, free courses, MOOCs, massive online open courses, or different universities, even Cambridge, Oxford, as well, and Google, they offer different online courses. With some of them have certificates, some of them don't, but you can still go and learn as well. And of course, YouTube as well.
Yes.
You can
Yes, that's always a good learning tool. I think there's lots of things students can do. Certainly when you're in the university, developing your professional skills, such as corresponding by email, and obviously presentations and report writing can be picked up through your coursework. You may be allowed to do elements of that through some of your assessments. But there's also opportunities to be involved in professional networking, maybe doing things like your class representative, where you will have to liaise and attend formal meetings with the academic staff and behalf of your fellow students. That includes things like minute taking, note taking, and then feeding back to your fellow students about the opportunities. So these are ways of developing your professional skill sets, so communication, writing, and being able to deal with professional terminologies, I think, is probably something that you have to pick up on. Also, opportunities to network with employers, attending, we've got a lot of industry insight events, we have networking events, graduate fairs. These are all ways to talk to employers and listen to their terminologies and how they communicate, whether it's verbally or in written format through emails and LinkedIn posts and things. So again, that's another way to build up your skill sets. And also, if you are considering a placement or an insight event with an employer, these are all ways to get that experience of working in a professional environment. But I think if anything is to go by, I would also think about observing how other people interact. So certainly in my team, we all correspond in different ways by email and using the Teams chat. And I always like picking up good little tips and good practice from watching how other people engage as well. And so those are things that you can pick up on. And as well as Una said, things like YouTube and the training courses as well are always good ways to build up those transferable employability skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So in person and online, making the most of what's available for you. And yeah, during your university years, you can always make the most of summer holidays or different volunteering opportunities as well, because if you're international students also sometimes, and if you haven't done any work experience, and even if you're a home student, it's good to do volunteering, and it gives you some, referee for your reference for future employment, as well as developing all these different work place skills as well. So thank you, Lindsay. So finally, what top 3 tips do you have for job seekers or students looking to advance in their career today? So how can they ensure they possess and demonstrate these sought after employability skills? I know it's kind of leading on what we just talked about, but what are your 3 top tips?
Thanks, Una. 3 top tips. I could be here all day, probably talk about more than 3. But certainly, just thinking back personally from my experiences as working with different students, I think the first thing would be to research the job market and be nosy. That's why I'm a careers advisor. I like to find out things. I like to hear about people's ideas. but look at job adverts, speak to people who do the jobs that you're interested in, and keep up to date. There's lots of online materials that you can do to keep up to date with the job market. Certainly, as mentioned, looking at job adverts, joining LinkedIn, following different organisations or even professional bodies if you are maybe linked to accounting bodies or engineering roles. Those are bodies that will share good practice as well about skills and experiences that they're looking for. Be bold is probably my second tip. One of my lecturers said this to me many years ago. I show my age now. And she said, Lindsay, just be bold on this activity. If it doesn't work out, we can try something new. And I was like, oh, maybe not. And actually she was right. So be bold, get involved in things like with your studies, push yourself to do something that you maybe hadn't thought about, maybe in your part-time job, taking on a leadership role, try something different. Okay, there's lots you can do within university, volunteering, you can get involved in clubs and societies, joining us for career events. All this will help you develop your skills and your inner confidence that will help you decide what you want to do in the future. And probably my final top tip, which is a bit of a strange one, but I would say note down what you do, keep a record of what you do. We are all very good at forgetting or underselling what we've got to offer, not just in skills, but achievements and awards and maybe even recognition through part-time jobs. We're always quite good at underselling ourselves. But when we start to apply, we need for jobs in the future, we need to be able to showcase our employability skills as well as our degree and qualifications. So don't forget to note down what you learned from your modules this term, what you've been doing in your part-time job, skills that you've developed through volunteering. A bit of self-reflection is always really important. And this will help you see what you're good at, but also what you need to maybe develop as you progress. Because as much as we love ourselves, we're not always 100% perfect. So it is quite nice to look at things that we need to develop and improve upon. Certainly on our website, we've got some great strength career activities that you can review your skills and your strengths, and that's quite good for giving you ideas on how to develop. And there's some great videos on things like resilience and developing your employability skills or work-based skills. And these little short videos are really useful to help you, give you some ideas to help you progress. So certainly don't just do this reflection activities while you're at university, continue into your working life. And certainly Una and I have to do that as part of our jobs. Within the university, we have a reflection and PDP activity that we have to do annually. So there will be elements of that in your life, in your working life. So it's always good to start doing that good practice now.
That's amazing. That's really, really good. Actually, whether you're a graduate or a student or even professional already in the job, I think it's important because when you start to apply for jobs, you're looking at the application form and then thinking, how can I demonstrate this skill that I already have this? But if you listed what you have done, there is always something is related to the question, whether it's in the application or the job interview as well. So thank you very much.
That's true.
So thank you, Lindsay, for your insights and expertise. Your valuable contributions have truly enriched this episode, and it's been a pleasure and an honor having you as one of our first guests. And thank you. And I'll see you next time, everybody.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the UWS Careers Cafe, the podcast from UWS Careers team with hosts Una Ramsay and Nigel Royal, where we talk about everything related to student and graduate careers. If you have enjoyed listening to this episode, please check out the others in the series. Also, you can follow the link in the description to our website, where you will find an amazing array of career resources to help you forge your path to a rewarding career.